So a big part of this, you're right, is education and awareness. But don't you also feel that in this space, which is health, which is full of misinformation, disinformation, censoring, I don't know how you fared during the pandemic, but I was definitely told to take down some stuff and had things removed. It's crazy now that you have to kind of look at those things and worry. And what do you think it is? Is it just an old way of going about it and people in charge wanting more money that don't want
Uh,
this type of
yeah,
empowerment in people?
I think it's probably deeper than that. Don't want to be too philosophical on that, but okay, if you work in a lab and that's your job, you analyze samples and you run diagnostic based on your petri dishes or whatever you do there. Then you report to the lab manager. The lab manager report to the doctor in chief. The doctor in chief report to FDA or CDC. A CDC reports to the government. So that chain of command is, if you take all the people I've just named before, and if one of them goes against the flow, if there is some things that goes wrong in our society, you're blamed.
Mm.
People are scared about judgment and blame. So you take the least risk as possible. Like, why do you wear a mask? Because in labs, we're going to wear a mask. If we work with a toxic product and high contaminative components, but does that apply to the society? I don't care. I live in the lab. This is how I do. And I report to my boss. My boss report that. And it goes on a chain of command. We're not going to take. And what if we don't do that? Well, in the lab, if they don't do that, they're going to die. Whoa. Okay. We're going to implement the measure worldwide. This is how it works. I don't think it was a money stuff. Well, of course it was a money stuff, but I don't think that those measures were mainly because people are afraid about taking decision. They're not business entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
They are chain of command. And if you are part of that chain of command, you are like in corporate America. You are a slave. And you do whatever the board is telling you to do. And you do everything you have to do to please those guys at the top of the food chain. And the whole society works that way. And fortunately, there is punk like we are going against the flow and saying highly and vibrantly that no, take judgment, because we have the awareness, because we have the knowledge and we can tell, but we're not, the number of these people are not enough. That's one. Now let's go to the other side. Misinformation because of social media. This is my biggest problem today, is the amount of information that you can find on social media coming from coaches and sport trainers and everything, that suddenly they know so much about the science and give so big advice to everyone. But when you put that just a bit out of the limit of what they just read, and they know, shit, this is dangerous. And when they get questioned, or even they don't understand, if they read the abstract of a publication, that's already too much asking, without judging. But you have to understand the whole concept of a publication to be able to talk about it, not just like the resume taking ChatGPT-4 and say, okay, what's this publication is talking about? Oh, I'm going to do a post. I'm going to look super sharp because I'm talking about that. That's the problem. We have so much misinformation in our social media. And I think that hopefully one day this is going to stop, because it creates something's negative, not positive in our society. And it comes back to what you said before. Where do I start? I'm overwhelmed. I want to live longer, but this guy says that, and the other guy says that about cryotherapy, and the
Yeah.
other one said, oh no, it's not good, and the other one, oh yes, oh but no, and then I'm not doing it.
Right. This is all confusing. It's like the meme of someone trying to eat healthy and watching like, oh, eggs are bad. They're about to take a bite of eggs. Like, eat this. Oh, oats are bad. It's like, oh God, you know? And it's like,
I saw
they
that one.
just
It
end
was
up like,
awesome.
screw it. I'm just going to McDonald's. You know, it's like, that's what we feel like. I get it.
Yeah.
If I didn't have the upbringing I had and was around medicine, doctors, and all this and experts, and even then, a lot of them I felt weren't exactly aligned with what I felt should be health. So you have to figure it out yourself. But if I didn't know, it'd be way too much for me nowadays. If I was just perusing through hashtag health optimization or biohacker on Instagram, I'd be like, every other one is counter like to the one I just
Oh my
watched.
God.
And I'd be like, screw
Yeah.
this. No one agrees
Yeah.
on how we could be healthy out there. Like, no,
Yeah.
then why even bother? You know, I'll just
That's
take
the
a pill.
Yeah. But you know, the saddest part of it is like, even I ranked doctors sometimes are saying contradictory stuff. One that correct is saying, and I appreciate that for the guy. So Andrew Huberman does that. He sometimes correct what he said before, but there's other guy. With all due respect for my friend Gary Brecka, but when he says like you should never go to the gym with an empty stomach, holy smoke!
Yeah.
What?
It reminds me of like, what is it? Star Wars, like, you know, living in absolutes is like a Sith. To say never to everyone is like, well, what if you're like, you know, the different, you can't say never to everything, you know, to everything.
No,
There are no
no.
absolutisms in life. Almost.
Absolutely. So that's the thing, you know, where you start. And I don't think that I know more than others or whatsoever. But like you said at the beginning, is you have to try it and you have to test it. If it works for you, keep going. If it doesn't work, change, adapt. This is the you know, it's an extent of Darwinism, the law of adaptation. You need to be resilient to change, and you need to accept the faults and the results, and sometimes the good thing you take them, sometimes it doesn't work, you just keep going. That's it. Yeah.
And I think a big portion of that, we live in a world of influencers and consumers of those influencers, right? So I honestly, the influencers are what they are. They're trying to make a buck, trying to share their expertise. It may be flawed. I feel we've always had people out there saying things that may not be true, but trying to capitalize off that. That's always been, it's just so much more in your face now, and everyone can do it. Yeah, exactly. It's been going around since the dawn of time with politicians and kings and all these things. So now you just have way more access to it.